The nexus of crisis management and public policy. Planning for crisis is vital to ensuring our responses are proactive rather than reactive or non-existent. Reactive responses are often simply the last resort, after doing nothing was not sufficient to make the problem resolve itself, and being proactive was not an option because we were not prepared for it. For an entity or an organization to proactively respond to crisis, it must plan ahead, and that often requires appropriate policy making. Now, in the context of public policy and the sector itself, we consider the following triggers that activate an existing policy, including policy concerns, public concerns, budgetary pressures, events, media attention, leadership priorities, as well as federal requirements, all create a context from which public policy is defined and implemented. The making of these policies is a combination of three essential components. Firstly, we identify a problem as a perceived wrong or shortcoming within our society or environment, by which then we take through a process that solves the problem politically using a governmental framework, and finally creating a policy that is essentially the government's standing decision on the problem in question. There are different contexts in which public policy responds to situations in real time, one of which is crisis response. Now let us consider how we define crisis. Some may result to crisis as being an incident, an event, or development that is widely perceived by members of the communities involved or by stakeholders as constituting an urgent or serious threat to the core values or basic structures and the way of life within the community or group. Crises often become politicized rather than quickly and threaten the security and credibility or legitimacy of an existing political symbols within the government. The crossover between crisis management and public policy in the policy-making process is an integral aspect of building a robust policy strategy, whereby it provides us the tools necessary to be prepared to mitigate or resolve problems in such a way that it is ideal for each situation, which increases public trust in our ability to manage various situations. But how do we know if our policy decisions are good in times of crisis? Your ideal crisis management policy should include being forward-looking with government foresight from various ministries, being outward-looking, whereby thinking outside of the policy-making black box, working with as many stakeholders as possible through integrated approaches and initiatives, displaying a creative continuity and innovative focus within the government. Utilize and articulate those ethical and evidence-based policy options and knowledge to inform the decision-making, having measurable impacts, for instance, engaging with the people to make commitments, in addition to being efficient and cost-effective, as well as monitoring, evaluating, and formally reviewing policies, procedures, systems that are in place. What we term as the nexus of crisis management and public policy is the effective overlap between forward-thinking policymaking and the foresight necessary to anticipate political crises so as to plan for them in the most effective, cost-efficient ways that are forward-looking, outward-looking, diverse, creative, ethical, and most of all, measurable. The ability to be prepared for as many potential problems as possible ensures our crisis response is always proactive and rarely reactive, thereby reducing the negative impact of reactive response and promoting proactivity in crisis management.